everyone. Ready to dive into some seriously cool science?
Always.
Okay, so get this. Scientists have created a molecular flashlight that can peek inside the brain.
Wait, really?
Yeah, no surgery needed, just light. Isn't that wild?
It sounds like something out of science fiction.
Right. We'll explain how it works, but let me tell you, it's pretty amazing.
I bet. I mean, think about it. For so long, we've only been able to study the brain from the outside.
Yeah, or like examining it after someone has, well, you know.
Right, exactly. But this flashlight, it's a total game changer. We
Mhm.
can actually see the activity of individual brain cells.
It's like in real time. When I read about this in Nature Methods, my mind was blown.
Yeah, I can imagine.
It's like going from those old black and white photos to like full-on high-def video of the brain in action.
That's a perfect analogy.
Yeah.
And the coolest part is, it's all based on this thing called vibrational spectroscopy.
Vibrational what now?
Vibrational spectroscopy. It's like every molecule, it vibrates at a certain frequency. And when you shine light on it, some of that light scatters, but in a very specific way.
So it's like bouncing off in a different way.
Yeah. And that way of scattering is directly related to the molecule's frequency. It's almost like each molecule has a signature.
A signature based on how it vibrates.
Exactly. Like its own little dance move.
That's amazing. So this molecular flashlight, it's actually reading the vibrations of molecules.
Inside living brain tissue.
Wow. But
right.
how do we go from like molecular vibrations to actually figuring out what's going on in the brain?
Well, that's where the probe comes in. It's this teeny tiny thing, thinner than a human hair.
Seriously.
Yeah. And it emits light, and then it analyzes how that light is scattered by the molecules it hits.
Oh, I see.
So we can figure out what types of molecules are there, their structure, and even how they interact.
So instead of looking at the whole brain, we're zeroing in on the tiniest pieces.
The building blocks, yeah. The molecules that make brain cells and all the spaces between them.
That's incredible. But what can we actually do with this?
Oh, so many things. For example, researchers in Spain at the Spanish National Cancer Research Center.
They're using it already.
Oh, yeah. They're studying brain metastases, which are basically secondary tumors that spread to the brain.
Those are the really tough ones to treat, right? Because they can be all over the place.
Exactly. And with this flashlight, they're actually seeing how tumor cells escape from the main mass.
So it's giving them a new way to target those cells?
Potentially, yeah. It could help surgeons remove them more effectively.
Wow. It's like they're lighting up those hidden tumor cells, making them visible for the first time.
It's a great way to put it. And, this is just the beginning.
I bet. I mean, this has to have huge implications for other brain conditions too, right?
Oh, absolutely. For example, at the Cajal Institute, researchers are using it to study traumatic brain injuries.
The kind that can lead to seizures.
Exactly. And they're finding that the molecular signatures, remember those, they're different depending on whether the injury was caused by trauma or a tumor.
That's fascinating. So the flashlight can help figure out what caused the injury.
Yeah, which could lead to more accurate diagnoses and treatments.
It's like we're finally seeing the brain in a whole new light.
Literally. It really is like getting a glimpse into this amazing molecular world that we could only imagine before.
Then we're just scratching the surface of what this technology can do.
Right. It's mind-blowing.
Stay tuned, because up next we're going to explore some of the other mind-blowing applications of this molecular flashlight. We're talking diagnosing diseases, maybe even unlocking the secrets of consciousness itself.
It really is amazing to think we can study the brain in so much detail now.
It's incredible. And one thing that keeps popping into my head is like how this could change disease diagnosis.
Oh, absolutely. Early detection is key for so many conditions, right? Like Alzheimer's, Parkinson's.
Exactly, if we could spot those early.
This flashlight, it might be able to pick up on tiny changes way before any symptoms even show up.
Wow. Think about what that could mean for treatment.
It's huge. Imagine being able to intervene before any serious damage is done. Maybe even slow down or stop the progression altogether.
It's like having a tiny little security camera inside the brain, constantly watching for any problems.
I like that analogy. But it makes me wonder.
What's that?
All the data this thing generates, right? It must be a massive amount of information.
Oh, for sure. How do we even make sense of all that?
Well, that's where AI comes in. Researchers are using it to sort through all that data, looking for patterns we might miss.
So AI is like our superpowered detective.
Exactly. It's helping us decipher all those molecular clues.
I can see that. So we've got the flashlight and our AI detective on the case, but is this all just about diagnosing diseases?
Not at all. Think about personalized medicine, tailoring treatments to someone's specific molecular makeup.
Oh, I see. Like you could figure out exactly which treatment would work best for each person.
Exactly. Take Parkinson's disease, for example. There are different subtypes that respond differently to medications.
So the flashlight could tell you which subtype someone has.
Right. And then doctors could prescribe the most effective treatment right from the start.
That's incredible. No more trial and error, but it's not just about treating diseases, is it?
Nope. It's about understanding how the brain works on the most basic level.
Like how we learn and remember things.
Exactly. Researchers are using this technology to study all kinds of things, like the effects of aging on the brain.
Can you imagine seeing the actual molecular changes that happen when we learn something new?
It's remarkable. We really are seeing these processes in real time.
This is all so fascinating, but let's bring it back to the listener for a second. How could this technology impact their everyday lives?
Well, one area that I find particularly exciting is education.
Education, really?
Think about it. If we understand the molecular changes that happen during learning, we could tailor education to fit each person's brain.
Whoa. So like personalized learning plans.
Exactly. Imagine identifying someone's strengths and weaknesses on a molecular level.
So no more one-size-fits-all approach to education.
Right. And it's not just for academics. Think about helping people with learning disabilities or creating better training programs for certain skills.
Okay, I can see the headlines now. Brain scans to replace standardized tests.
Maybe one day. But seriously, the potential is huge.
It really is. And you mentioned cognitive enhancement earlier. What did you mean by that?
Well, what if we could develop ways to boost memory or focus? Even enhance creativity by targeting specific molecules in the brain.
Wait, are we talking about real-life brain boosters, like something that could make us all smarter?
It's definitely a possibility. There's a lot of research happening in this area.
Wow, it's like we're stepping into some kind of sci-fi movie.
I know, right. Of course, there are ethical considerations and potential risks to think about.
For sure, we can't just go messing with people's brains without being careful.
Exactly. But the idea of enhancing our brains through molecular interventions, it's definitely fascinating.
It feels like we're on the cusp of a whole new era in brain science.
I think so, too.
Yeah.
And remember, we're still in the early days of this technology.
It's amazing to think where we might be in a few years.
Right. As this molecular flashlight gets even more advanced, who knows what incredible applications we'll discover.
So we've talked about all these amazing possibilities, diagnosing diseases, personalized education, even like boosting our brains.
It's pretty wild, right?
It is. But what really gets me is what this technology tells us about the brain itself.
Oh, yeah. It's like, for centuries, we've been trying to figure out this super complex organ.
But it's been hard, hasn't it?
Yeah. Like trying to solve a puzzle with missing pieces.
And this molecular flashlight.
It's like finding those missing pieces.
Exactly. Instead of just seeing the whole picture, now we can zoom in on those tiny molecules.
The ones that make up the brain's circuitry.
And we can see how they interact, how they change over time.
And how those changes are connected to all sorts of things, from learning to disease.
It's like we've been looking at a still photo of the brain this whole time.
Right. And now we're watching a movie, seeing all the action unfold.
It's incredible. I mean, think about what this could mean for our understanding of consciousness.
Oh, that's a big one.
It's like the ultimate mystery, right? How do all those neurons firing actually create our experience of the world?
The molecular flashlight. It could help us answer that question.
You think so?
It could let us see the molecular changes that happen during different states of consciousness, like sleep, wakefulness, even altered states.
Altered states, like from meditation or something.
Yeah, exactly. Things like that.
It's pretty mind-blowing. Makes you wonder if we could map every single molecule in the brain.
And see how they all work together.
Would we finally crack the code of consciousness?
Now, that's a question that'll keep scientists busy for a long time.
Probably. But hey, at least this flashlight gets us closer than ever before.
I think so. But, it's important to remember, there are still challenges.
Like what?
Well, earlier we talked about AI and how it can help analyze all that data.
Right. It's like our detective. But even AI has its limits.
Exactly. The brain is incredibly complex. We're still figuring out how it all works.
So even with this amazing flashlight, we still need the right tools to interpret what we're seeing.
Absolutely. And it's not just about the technology. We have to think about the ethical side of things, too.
What do you mean?
Well, as we delve deeper into the brain, we have to be careful about privacy, autonomy, even what it means to be human.
Yeah, you're right. We can't just forget about those things.
This is a journey we need to take together as a society.
Making sure these advancements are used for good.
Exactly. For the betterment of everyone.
This has been an amazing deep dive. I mean, this molecular flashlight, it could really revolutionize our understanding of the brain.
No doubt about it. It's a whole new world of possibilities.
And who knows, maybe one day we'll all have our own personal brain flashlights.
Imagine that. exploring the inner workings of our own minds.
Now that's something to think about. Thanks for joining us on this journey into the future of brain science. Keep exploring, keep learning, and keep those minds open to all the incredible possibilities out there. I think